Shut up and sit down.
Hey everybody, it's the Takeover Tuesday podcast. Another Tuesday. I'm David Allen. We have a very special person on the show today. She has diverse talents all over the map. You're going to love her. Her name is Lauren Hazel. Lauren, how are you?
Yo, what's up, everybody? This is Lauren from the Bronx, New York. I am really good.
Sounds good. You were bopping some tunes before we got on the air here. What were you rocking?
Some Rihanna Needed Me. We had some Fetty Wap, My Way. Some good stuff. I had a little bit of a Drake on because of the two songs I actually do like on that album. Western Road Flows, for those of you that you could check out. The rest of and Summer Interlude. You could check those two out. Everything else is like, eh.
Right. Now you're an entrepreneur. You're into copywriting.
Yes, sir.
Let's maybe start at the beginning. We'll go back to give us what I like to call your superhero origin story, or superheroine, I guess, perhaps in your case. Start sort of at the beginning. How you got into all this mess, basically?
Man, how I got onto the online scene because I was very ignorant, not knowing what the hell this thing was about. Um, very ignorant. Actually, the first person that actually got me on it, even aware that this world existed, was I was watching TV, CNN was on, and this guy named Ramit Sethi came on, and he was at the time promoting his book. So I
Right.
was like, all right. So at this time, I'm in college and I'm working at a regular brick and mortar. Plus I have my little side thing going on the side. And I was like, well, I need to know about finances because like most folks who grew up in the Bronx in a relatively poor neighborhood, no one really talks about finances in terms of saving and 401k retirement kind of stuff. It's all social security and God help you while you're hustling. So that's what I knew, and I was like, I knew that there was more to that. And ironically, I was a business major in college, so I was
Okay.
like, there has to be more to this. Let me find a way to kind of educate myself so I don't end up in places I don't want to be when you don't have money and you get older. So that's kind of what started me up, and I got he has these programs that he sells. One was called Earn 1K, which I eventually got into, and that kind of helped me not jumpstart my freelancing because I was doing it before, but helped me sort of put things into more systematized than what I had it. So, and then I found out about all you crazy folks in copywriting, which I didn't even know I was doing it. Okay, I was like putting words up. Okay, those words don't work. Let me write it this way, but I didn't know it was called that.
Right.
That kind of started that whole thing.
So it was Ramit that tricked you into coming into this.
Yeah, it's his fault. It's his fault, because I came in there just to figure out, oh, okay, this is the retirement stuff. Okay, this is easier than me going and taking the finance class, which I did, but you learn how to do it mostly for big corporations and stuff like that, not necessarily personalized finance on an individual level. So as much as I knew what the products were and how to build them if I had to, how to apply it to your personal is a completely different than if you're dealing with a Johnson C. Johnson and Company kind of deal.
Right. Now, when you were growing up, have you been in the Bronx your whole life?
Yeah, pretty much. On my father's side, he was in the military and the Navy, and so I was almost a Navy brat, kind of, the folks who grew up in those small communities when everybody's in the military. But my father, my mother didn't work, and so we lived in Virginia for a very short period of time. But I moved to New York. I was born in New York, was in Virginia for maybe a couple of years, and went back to New York, I think when I was about 3.5 or 4. So I'm pretty much a born New Yorker, pretty much bred New Yorker.
Look out.
Yeah, apparently I'm very rare because now you got a lot of folks who move from other places into New York, and they're like, I'm from Kansas, I'm from Minnesota, I'm from the Bronx. Like, I don't know what else to tell you.
Yeah, there's a certain, of course, with people from all over. I mean, originally from Canada. There's a people that, when you say New York and you're a New Yorker and you're from New York, it denotes a certain list of like traits almost. And I would say, although I don't know you terribly well, you seem to embody a lot of those traits. You're sort of brash. You're not afraid to speak your mind. These things seem to be sort of what New Yorkers have become, the hallmark of New Yorkers, if you will.
Yeah, I guess it's a little of that. I've been in different situations, and I kind of know when it's time to shut the fuck up, and not say anything. And I'm pretty much known as that because a lot of times, especially when I was younger, it was like, oh, you're the timid, shy kid. But I'm very much an introvert. I like to listen and observe people to see what's going on in my surroundings, to see what I'm dealing with before I like to take action. But when you get on my goddamn nerves, you will be hearing, or something will be happening to you. I'm not saying that you will be hurt, but I'm just saying that I just can't let shit slide all the time.
Now, so what were you into sales at all? In your younger years, or what sort of jobs did you take that sort of had that entrepreneurial spirit? You said your father was in the military.
Yes,
What do you
the
think?
legal jobs, well, the legal and illegal jobs, so to speak. Because who knew that going and selling food out in the street without license was illegal? Didn't know that.
That was news
the-
to you, was it?
yeah, that was news to you, especially when I'm selling to the police in the precinct too. So no one said anything, and I was not an adult. I was like a younger kid, Okay, so I was like a very much a preteen when I was doing that hustle. Um, Let's see. So I went to an interesting high school. So I wound up, because in my family, education at least is stressed, because on my mother's side of the family, they come from the island. So it was something for someone to have a high school diploma a lot of the times. And so seeing like someone who's a little older, who's not going to jail, or is either this is the path. Either you did something stupid and you're doing a hustle and you wind up going to jail in some shape or form, or you wind up taking a test and becoming some type of civil servant and working for the government in some capacity, you know, or the other end, maybe you get into a profession like nursing is really big. And people from the islands would know nursing is really big for us, and a very rare, maybe 1% might have gone to college and got a degree or an advanced degree to be something else, but it's all very rare. So I was put more on that path by my mother. Now my mother's an older woman, so like civil rights movement. She actually was not. She was alive during that time. Okay, I have an older sister. She's 21 and a half years older than me, so that should be telling you something about mindset of mommy
Yeah, no,
and
no
everything
doubt.
else.
Yeah.
So the illegal stuff I was doing, because ironically she worked for the court. She didn't say anything about me cooking food and selling it out either. So, but the high school I went to, I got into this Ivy League kind of high school for free. Um, not without its problems per se. They let you know that somebody else here was paying your way. Let's just put it that way. So what they did is they gave, at one point we had the fad with the rubber bands around your hand, with like they were the names and the colors and shit. And so it's like they told us, hey, you guys have to go and sell these to raise money for your prom. And people were like, yeah, I want to do it. And I was like, you know what, give me 2 bags of those things. Now, what they neglected to tell me is that I was only supposed to sell those little bracelets, those wristbands out on campus. They didn't tell me I wasn't supposed to go home to the Bronx and sell them shits.
Oh, I see.
So I sure damn did on after school when I could, and on the weekends went out there selling these wristbands to everybody. And
Nice.
I think we were supposed to sell them for $1. I was selling them for $2. So who the hell would knew the difference? And now at the time, a lot of wristbands had words like faithfulness or whatever the fuck they were writing on, and my shit just said the name of the school. So when I was selling these fucking wristbands, no one knew what the fuck the school was. They weren't even reading it. That's my first lesson, that people don't read. So
Big lesson. Big lesson.
yeah, so they're like, "Oh, this means faithfulness." I was like, "Sure, yeah, it means faithfulness, yeah." And give me $2, and I was just selling these crazy ass wristbands, and no one told me I wasn't supposed to do it like that. But this is just me going out. So I got famous for actually, because I lived next to drug dealers, and they were dealing drugs at the house in the corners, and that whole deal. So I went next door, and it was that time of the month. It's the first of the month. People got their checks. It's time to get their shit, their weed, their coke, whatever. And I was standing right there and sell my shit too. So they were selling drugs, and I was selling wristbands, and that's the way it was working. And at one point, on the other corner, where there was another guy getting arrested for I think drugs or getting or shooting somebody, some shit like that. And the detectives came. So before the detectives came, I actually sold the guy some wristbands. I stood in front of his house and till his ass came out. Now I didn't know people was looking for him. All right, I was in there just trying to make a few dollars. So I sold it to him, and then uh, I walked to the other corner, came back from the store, and the next thing I know, the fucking place is surrounded by police. So I was like, this is a great money making opportunity. So I was selling to the detectives as the guy was being put into the van to go to jail. That's the kind of stuff I was kind of into, some of my early well known ventures.
Yeah, it seems like you got started as a salesperson really early.
Yeah, I mean, I'm more ethical now. I wouldn't necessarily sell to somebody as they were getting arrested. I would at least wait till they're in the van, then I sell to the, to the officer. But still in all, it was good stuff to learn. And that's what's the illegal jobs. Okay. One legal job I had, I used to work in the stadiums. There was a stadiums contract these companies out to do their selling for them, and I worked on commission. So it's basically you eat what you kill. And I was horrible at math, but I damn sure learned math real fucking quick. Mental math quick doing that, because
Yeah.
if you came up short, you owe people money, and that wasn't the way to go. So I had to learn how to sell people shit when the game, and be aware, because when people are pissed off that the quarterback ain't doing what they were supposed to do, they don't buy shit. When they really riled up, they're likely to push your ass down a bunch of fucking steps. You gotta be careful people trying to fucking pickpocket you and take your money and shit. So being self-aware in that selling environment is interesting, and learning how to read crowds. So I gained a lot of selling experience from sort of the very much South Bronx, the things that happened there, and also into the legitimate jobs where I was doing selling on commission or working at places like Target. So I learned a lot.
Right. That's awesome, man. That is cool. Because I mean, we come from completely disparate backgrounds, so I love to hear people's story of how they come. Because it seems like copywriters and stuff and entrepreneurs have all sort of been involved in sales at some point along the way, where they had some major sales jobs, or were, maybe not a lemonade stand, but were more, entrepreneurial even as kids, maybe patterning a neighbor or a parent or so forth. So eventually, you got into Ramit's course, and
Hmm.
you were doing freelancing. You were writing for people, freelance.
No, actually, copywriting came a hell of a lot
Okay,
later. I
so
actually
what
was
kind of freelance? What kind of
doing
freelancing?
I was doing before I had Ur1K. I was always involved in tutoring and getting paid for it. But I don't know how much to charge for this crap.
Right, right.
Because who the hell knows? Like, I'm still a kid, and I knew certain tutors got paid a lot of money, because in the high school I went to, those kids there, most of them were very very rich, and like rich, like they don't have to fucking work, like they're heiresses to states and shit. That's a whole different type of rich right there. So they had tutors from God knows when, and those tutors were making a lot of money. But I don't know like how to gauge myself for any of that. Um, because the world is still foreign. Like, I'm there and I interact, but I'm still I'm still much the outsider in. So how do you create legitimacy? How do you create that trust? How do you figure out that this is the right price? And how do you approach people at that stage? And who do you approach? you know, was still very foggy. Like in the Bronx, I know what the hell I was doing, but I can only charge you a certain amount. I'm not charging like, $50 an hour to tutor somebody in fucking math
Yeah,
now,
yeah,
so
yeah.
that wasn't happening back then. So going through that course, I was basically took what I was doing and kind of really honed it down in terms of how to enter into the market that was had a familiarity with, but just didn't know how to kind of communicate with them in a way that can say, this is $50 an hour to tutor your kid in pre-algebra, and this is what they're going to learn, and this is what we're going to do, and this is the improvement you're going to see, kind of thing.
Right. And so you sort of sounds like you learned a lot of important lessons, which would later become handy when you did get into copywriting.
Yeah, it did, because I took the point of like eventually I wanted to turn into an online business where I can productize. And so I wind up gaining a specialty. Like, I was used to working with students that had learning disabilities, and when students have learning disabilities, it means you can charge more money for the expertise. So was creating math products for that. But it's funny because this is how storytelling is going to tie into it. The way that I learned very in a very interesting way. I have to be able to relate things to the thing I'm learning so that I can actually comprehend it better. So I guess get a deeper meaning for it. And that's really the best way for me to learn. And that's what I did with math because traditionally I'm tutoring math, but my ass had serious learning disabilities when it came to math. So the things I use for me, I was like, well, how can I use it for these students to learn math that way? And they only see me once or twice a week. And how can I make a product that can kind of replace me so I don't have to do so much going to people's houses and doing Skype calls and crap? So what I did was like, at the time, this is when the Hunger Games and all those sorts of really popular YA books had come out after Harry Potter, and I would read those books. So I would read the books in my mind, be thinking, "Hey, this is kind of like pre-algebra, and
Right,
this is like
right.
difference of squares in algebra, and this is like this, that, and the algebra." So what I did was I went to the office and say, "Hey, I'm a math tutor, and I want to just use your characters to teach a lesson to my students." And at the time at Twitter, the authors were responding to just about everybody. And so what happened was they said that was cool, awesome, and let me know how it goes. They were really excited about it. And now, unbeknownst to me, I didn't realize that I was going to have thousands of kids following me after that tweet. And so I woke up the next morning and I had like 3,000 like kids following me
That's
on
amazing.
my
That's
damn
how
Twitter.
quickly it can turn. Yeah.
Yeah, they're like, "You're the most awesome math teacher ever," and they've never seen a lesson. It's like,
You were
and
guilty by
so
association.
I know, and but I was basically taking those stories, reading the books, breaking it down, and using it to teach math lessons, and I created products out of that. And I was selling either using that or sort of writing my own fiction, creating my own characters, and teaching math that way, and productizing it. And I made a good amount of money. That's where I really started realizing these words I was writing was called copywriting, like heavy, because I went and asked some people who was like, "Hey, I'm trying to do this. I can't seem to be selling more. People say they want it. I'm not sure what I'm doing wrong." They said, "Well, change the words around." And I was looking back my freelance days. I was like, "Okay, well, let me pull out something I had wrote and converted it to a way that's for this product." And then a few other people said, "Hey, you should try copywriting." I was like, "What the hell is copywriting?" Like, I don't know what the hell that is. I'm still really in the early stages of this. And then someone suggested that I should look at this product called Copy Hour. And I bought the damn thing, and that's how I actually became a copywriter. Just accidentally trying to sell more of this video product is what happened. Yeah, sideways. It's just like I just wanted to sell a few more of my video product because I was charging like $300 for it or whatever. Um, and that's really what I wanted to do. And I just didn't understand what these words were called and what I was actually doing until going to some people and they say, "Hell, you should try copywriting and try this thing called Copy Hour." And that's really what started me on the path to talking to you today.
That's awesome. Wow, that's great. Yeah, I've been part of it's Derek Johansson, of course, that runs Copy Hour, and I've been a part of his course before in the past myself. So that's a great sort of circuitous route that you have sort of hewed into the copywriting world. So once now we have a lot of sort of newer copywriters listening to the show and newer business people
Nice.
who may be in your same position where they're like. Maybe realize that the copywriting is important, but they don't really understand it that well as of yet, and they're sort of getting, glimpses because we've had a lot of copywriters on the show and so forth. Maybe delve further into it, sort of how it evolved for you, because it sounded like you had what sort of minimal steps did you take to get those products sort of viable, up and selling? Because that seems to be a big obstacle that a lot of people have is that first sort of action that gets that stuff going out there.
Ah, okay. So these is for the newbies. Let's see. Well, first and foremost, and this is coming from someone who has experience doing this, and also someone who also has an education doing this. Because I'm one of those rare people. I actually did go to business school, so I do have an MBA.
Right.
So yeah, I don't really say that to people, but apparently I'm gonna need to start saying that, yo, I actually have an MBA. I actually majored in finance, marketing, and management. So I actually know what the fuck I'm talking about. If a degree means anything to you. But I just had to because I've seen some really stupid shit in the last couple of days. But to really start you guys off, the first and foremost, um, once you have an ideas of what you think you want to do, so if you're starting a business, I'm assuming at this point for some of them they already have an idea, whatever the hell their thing is. The next thing you need to do is do some marketing research, okay? And that's what everybody tells you in whatever fucking way they want to tell you, but you need to do your research like dead ass. I'm very fucking serious about this because there's too many people putting shit out there, and then trying to hire a copywriter to fix the fucking problems, and it just doesn't. But you need to know, yeah, you're right. They need to know who the fuck they're talking to, who is this thing for? If it's a product, who is it for? What it's supposed to do for them? What benefits are they like? What's the results they're supposed to get? Like, what's their problems and what is your thing solving? If it's a service, same concept. That's what you need to know. And then you need to know more about the people you're actually trying to help give value or make money off. Now, I'm very much a money person. I don't have a problem discussing getting paid. A lot of folks online have the message of you should be giving value and the world is cotton candy and value and all this other shit. And nobody wants to discuss what we like. What the fuck are we here for?
Right.
Like,
Just give me
we're
the
here to make
fucking
some
money.
money.
Yeah,
Now,
exactly.
I'm not saying you should cheat anybody. Making money does not mean you're cheating people. It just means you're getting paid for a service that you have given or for a product that is giving somebody else more value, making their life better. Now, if you're making money and not doing that, meaning you're selling them shit that don't work, you can get in legal trouble and then you're just being an asshole. That's not what I'm talking about. So first, you really need to know who your audience is, who your product is for, what your product going to do for them. Is it what they want it to do? So if you have a product that is supposed to make a woman, if it's supposedly a weight loss product, and you say, well, your big thing on this product is that it helps her get clear skin, when she don't give a shit about clear skin, she just wants to lose the extra 15 pounds because summer's coming, she needs to wear that bikini, then you got a problem there, right?
So you got to know your market. That's the first step. Who's this for, and who are these people? Really?
Yeah, who are they? Like, tell me, like, we all say, a lot of us, we say customer avatar. Like, I want those people, I want to know deep. I want to know where she lives. I want to know what she's thinking. I want to know why she's crying. I want to know if she's married. Does she think her husband is cheating on her? I want to know all that shit. I'm one of those. That's kind of that's who you have to be as a business owner and as someone, or even as a copywriter, especially, we have to be like that because the way we have to write either for our own products or for somebody else's stuff, right? So that's the biggest step because that will determine if your product should be something that you should continue with or whether or not you need to go back and change your product up. And that's what big companies do. That's what actually big companies do. They spend a lot of money doing it. I'm not saying for you to do that, but because there's a lot cheaper ways to do it nowadays. But companies will spend 2, 3, 4, 5 years doing market research in a product and will completely scrap a product if there's no market for it. But then again, there have been products that have been put out by big companies that the business has been destroyed by, and they had millions of dollars to screw around with. I mean, I don't think anybody here on your group has millions of dollars, and if they do, they can just shuffle some of that stuff my way, and I would do the shit for them.
Well, one
But
of the
for
funny.
most part,
Yeah, yeah. No, I think one of the interesting things is that this has become big, sort of, I would say, in the last 5 to 8 years, is sort of this, what they call the lean startup, lean entrepreneur ideology. Of course, it existed long before then,
yeah,
but it became popular, I would say, like 5 to 8 years ago, where people were like, don't, because a lot of business owners, and you still see this all the time, they start by getting, they get in the space, they get the furniture, they get everything but customers, and because they don't really know that they even have customers or not yet. They have all the accoutrements of a business, but they don't have actually any business. They've not sold anything yet. So for people out there, you should do it the other way around. You should start with getting customers and see if people actually want your shit, and then get the rest of it later.
yeah, all that you can buy furniture and all that other bullshit. You can really hire people full and part time later, but if you don't know if people want your shit, you're asking to fail. And most folks, most of you listeners out there, do not have the gumption to come back from a failure. You don't. Like me, I've failed in business and a whole bunch of shit many, many, many times. So I have more the gumption to keep coming back and keep doing what I do and doing it better. But most of you don't. And that's just being honest. Yeah, then they get pissed off and they're like, "Oh, it's that fucking problem. Is this like I bought this program from so and so and it's their fault?" Well, it might be a little bit depending on who you bought it from and who if it's somebody who I know knows what the fuck they're doing. But a lot of the times it's because you didn't do what you need to do on your end. And if you're not willing to take responsibilities for your own failures, then entrepreneurship is not for you, sweetheart.
Right, right. Well, I remember, you briefly sort of glanced on something earlier there, which was, don't come to the copywriter with a product and expect them to fix it with a sales letter or something. And that's something you do encounter as a copywriter, probably more often than we care to admit. There's a story. I wish I knew the guy's name off the top of my head, but there was a copywriter. I think he was associated with like the guy who wrote the Wall Street Journal letter, of course, that we all copywriters know. And he, somebody approached him to write a sales letter for their book, and he wrote the sales letter. And then the guy who looked it over, the guy with the book, and he said, "That doesn't sound like the book I wrote." He's like, "Well, yeah, exactly. This is the book you should have wrote. How I wrote this is how the book should be." So the guy went back and redid the whole book, because the copywriter knew the market, knew what was going to sell in that market. And this is what you're talking about, Lauren, of course, is get into these people. Who are these people you're trying to sell to? Because then, the further and further you can niche it down, if you will, the more easily it is you'll be able to sell them, because you'll know all the different points to hit. And for a copy, and when you do hire a copywriter, or you do the copy yourself, in some cases if you are a copywriter, then you can tag all those different pain points, and you can market more closely, to the exact demographic that you're targeting. So that's very important. Now you've become known for storytelling.
Yeah.
You're a storyteller. Maybe start to delve into some of these things. Why you're becoming known for storytelling. Obviously, we've gotten a taste so far. You've told some fabulous some tales of your origin story and so forth. But give us a taste of maybe some major points of what people should know about storytelling and how important it is.
Nice. Number one, first I'll give you a little bit of background on my storytelling so that it has a little bit of, I'm gonna give you content, but there's gonna be some context to it for
Okay.
folks. That's important. And so now I like to read and watch TV, and I did a lot of that when I was younger. Um, and in doing that, of course, I listen to rap music and a lot of different types of music, and I'm a musician. So all of that has to deal with story in some form or fashion. And I have told stories to get myself out of some very sticky situations in the Bronx. Um, some involving weapons and drugs and almost getting arrested. So yes, I'm very good at that portion. Just to give you some background and
Fun. Yeah.
where some of this is coming from. But I actually wrote what they call fan fiction, which is basically if you watch a movie and you're into the movie, you write a story with your ending of the movie or your version of these different characters. So there's a website called fanfiction.net if you guys want to check that out. But I actually wrote fan fiction, I beta stories, and I wrote two original stories. Actually three. One was co-authored with on a famous urban hip hop blog a few years ago. So in terms of writing stories fiction wise, yeah, that's what I'm coming from that crazy ass background I'm talking about. Now, in terms of the importance of story, first, story is a tool, and people need to understand that it is a tool. It's not just some entertainment vehicle. It actually is a tool. A tool meaning it's a multi-purpose tool. You can use it for different ways. All depends on the person telling the story and their intentions. This is what I try to get to people. Now, a couple of years ago, when this is how I wanted to brand myself, because this is how I was in my line of thinking of distinguishing myself. No one was into fucking stories in their business, really. Unless you were like, Coca-Cola's always really good at telling stories, and I knew more about them from an academic standpoint when I was in school. So I know there's certain businesses that pretty much live through storytelling and they have their thing. But in terms of the online world and most other people, they didn't understand what story was. They just thought it was the book
Right.
or the TV show. So when
Right.
you came and say, I'm a story brand strategist, I use story, they're looking at you like, oh, you write TV commercials, or, oh, you want to be a Hollywood writer, and it was hard to figure that out. But now it's now a fad. It's right now. It's in its high point, and everybody is emphasizing, every guru under the sun is emphasizing using your story. Unfortunately, a lot of these people aren't qualified to fucking teach it. So on that point, you need to understand story is a tool, it's a multi-purpose tool. How you use it depends on you, the storyteller, what your intentions and what results you need out of it. In terms of using story for marketing purpose, whether it's your personal product that you're putting out or service, or whether it is somebody else's, there are a few things you need to understand. Number one, who the hell you're telling a story to, and why the fuck they should care to listen to you. That's important. So that's really back to the marketing research. That's the first part of understanding before you begin figuring out what type of story you're going to tell, right? Because you could do like the hero story. You can do um, more of a story that has to do with you personally, using personal stories in there. If it's your product, now don't put a fucking personal story in there if you're writing for somebody else's stuff, okay? Don't do that. Yeah, just because someone's going to take this to the left, I know, and they're going to be writing to you like, you, it's your fault. You put this lady on. She told me to use my personal story in my client's product. And da, 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 da. No, that's not what I said. I
Yeah.
said, if it's not your thing, don't do it. Okay.
Right. Like a
Um,
good example of this, I would say, for people who maybe are trying to conceive of something like this, is the Dos Equis man. You see I mean, apparently he'll no longer be the brand spokesperson for Dos Equis, but they have essentially told a story about this world's most interesting man when they first invented this character. And
yeah, I
you
love that.
and you see this all the shit that he does and the famous people he hangs out with, and they're selling a lifestyle, of course.
Yeah.
But the lifestyle, of this weird individual, this sort of playboy millionaire guy, and that's a story. They've wove this into the fabric of their product. So for people out there maybe having trouble conceiving of different ways that this is used, you probably see a lot of it. You just don't realize what's going on.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, well, look at a big brand like McDonald's, the clown. Where the hell where did Ronald McDonald come from? He is a character. He's a story. He's not real. He's a story. They tell this. I mean, he's used to attract the kids, not the adults. But he's a story character. You use a character like that for a brand. He is McDonald's. Now, I don't know what Doiseka is going to do because he pretty much is the damn brand.
Yeah, yeah,
So I don't know what the hell's supposed to happen with that. They should have kept him.
yeah. They should
But
have.
it's like McDonald's getting rid of Ronald McDonald. You know what riots they would be in around the world?
Yeah, well, it's funny because just saying that, as I was thinking about that as you're saying it, it's funny because Ronald McDonald is still a very big part of the McDonald's. I mean, he still is the McDonald's brand in many cases, especially for children. But they used to have like 6 characters, and those other 5 are like gone.
Yeah. Like
Like you don't see them
whole
anymore.
thing. There was some chick
Yeah, they had like a birdie and like the Hamburglar and like a cop, a Big Mac who was dressed up like a
was a
cop.
female woman, I think was a male.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
So
So some really
God
weird.
knows
And that would come in
what he's
handy
trying to call
nowadays.
back. Yeah, yeah, like these, like they had 2 other characters. One was a girl with straw hair, and one was some purple thing. I don't know what the hell it's supposed to be.
Now, here's a good example. Now, this is one you may be familiar with, but you're just sparking my thinking at the moment. And that is, there was an incident. I wish I knew where it was. I want to say it was like Atlanta or something, but I'm not sure that's true. But it was a case of a home invasion, for instance. So this person got a home invasion where a guy climbed through this woman's window, second floor window, and had some nefarious sort of things he wanted to do. Now he was thwarted, and it was the brother-in-law, I believe, who thwarted him, who busted into the room and chased the guy away or whatever. And then there was a famous sort of news report.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. Yes. Run and tell that.
Yeah, exactly.
About. Yeah, oh God, I don't know who I can see, and the guy is not attractive in it. He's not, folks, he is not attractive. It is if you see, the news report was funny as hell, and then they made a goddamn song out of it. It is hilarious. They actually performed it at the
Yeah,
BET Award show.
they did. If you go on YouTube, you can see this clip. It became a song. It sold a bunch on iTunes, I believe. And basically what they did was they took his testimony from the news report and turned it into a hip hop song, basically. And then he performed it on like the MTV Music Awards or something, or VH1 or one of these shows. because some other dudes helped him by putting the music to it or something.
Yeah, he
It
snatched.
essentially, yeah, it was essentially his testimony. Newscaster was the song, basically.
Yeah, the bed. That's what the hell they called it. Yo, that shit is
That's
Anton
fine. That's
Dodson.
your
There we
wing.
go.
Yeah,
Yo, he's not attractive. I'm sorry. He's no, I'm not sorry. He's not attractive. He's like, hide your kids, hide your wife. Yeah, that
yeah.
one.
Hide your kids, hide your wife, hide your kids, because they're raping everybody out here.
It is the listen. I need to check that out on YouTube. It is the funniest. First, you need to watch the original news report, and then you go to the song. It's the funniest shit.
I'm gonna link that when we post this when this goes live. I'm gonna link that video to it because people
You
know.
know, he started a company. He actually started a business around this shit. You know
Did he
that?
really too? See, so there's a good story. See that is not probably the way everyone wants to use stories, perhaps in their business. But this is, I mean, this is a reality. This story happened. He became sort of famous for this, and then he parlayed this into, like you said, a business, a best-selling a song of sorts, and so there you go. You know,
Yeah, he actually did. He did really well with it. The guy, he actually used this and launched his career. He got his fam out the hood. He did a whole bunch of stuff and some crazy shit. But he actually he's doing all right. He ain't in the hood no more. I can tell you that.
right, right. Maybe I'll have to get him on the show one time, maybe too.
Yeah, he's nuts though. The shit was funny. If you get a chance, talk about a real life event. This guy really was climbed into his sister's bedroom window and was trying to rape her, and he happened to be in the house and they started wrestling and shit, and
Yeah.
and it
And
took
just
off
the
from there.
guy, yeah, the news report that comes, and just when they interview him and his version of the story, it's hilarious. Like it's literally, you'll be like spitting coffee out your nose, hilarious. Like it's funny. And then the song is even funnier because they've taken the sort of the really funny parts and they've sort of hyper emphasized them. So very interesting. But let's go back to storytelling.
Yeah.
What else do people need to know about storytelling besides some different ways it can be used?
Okay. So understand that as a story, we use it to grab attention, and actually scientifically proven when you tell a story, the part of your brain that lights up, the person who receives the story on the other end, the same part of their brain will light up. So it's creating that actually instant connection between two human beings. So take advantage of that. You have to be entertaining in some form or fashion. No, I'm not saying get ridiculous and be like Chris Rock and be telling jokes and shit, but you do remember that this cannot be boring people to fucking tears. you know, so you have to keep it that stories do capture attention, but you have to be able to maintain that attention, and you do that by being entertaining in a way while at the same time giving them information either about yourself or about whatever product you are trying or service you're trying to sell. So it has to have a balance between being entertaining and having a little bit of that sort of information in there too, to marry the two together while you're in the storytelling process, however which way you're doing it. That's a really important point because some people get to that part and then they tell you all the information, but it's like a bad infomercial, and you're like you want to like you turn the shit off and you walk away, and that's the most dangerous thing for any copywriter or any business owner, for someone to turn their attention to other shit. And it's really, we're in a fight for attention, so your story has to be entertaining at the same time marrying the information of the product or service inside of it. So striking that balance in storytelling is very, very important. Another part of storytelling which people tend to forget is that people need to know who you are, what the product is at some point. um I like to relate this to, if you listen to a rap song. Now, most of us on here will probably know who the hell Jay-Z is. So why the fuck in every song does Jay-Z kind of announce himself?
Right.
We know what he sounds like
Yeah.
what his voice sounds like. Especially even if you listen to one Jay-Z song in your life, if you hear him again, you're gonna know who it is. Almost every single song, he introduces himself or somebody else introduces him at some form. So you need to be able to do that. I've seen instances where people have told stories that were interesting, but I didn't know what the hell the product was. We have a lot of companies that make these very beautiful commercials, but then we don't know what the fuck they're selling.
Yeah, that happens a lot. We talk about that a lot over here because there's some commercials, and it's funny you mention that because there's commercials I really think are, excellent, just made me laugh or whatever, and I thought were very clever, but I can't recall what the hell they were selling, which really is the point. So, I mean, for the most case, they want you to, to at least check out what they have to offer. But if you can't remember who it was, I found this a lot with like insurance companies and stuff. They come up with some pretty
Yeah.
interesting thing, but insurance is such a boring sort of topic. It's hard to like emphasize this is an insurance company.
Yeah, but it has to be done at some point because after the commercial is over, if it's a commercial or after the VSL is over, we need to know what the hell it is and if it will, and what we're supposed to be doing. And that's in the last part of other part is a call to action. A lot of rap songs will give you a some call to action. A lot of them actually do in their subtle way. And a lot of R&B songs. So when you look at a guy like Chris Brown, for those of you who don't know, it's the light skinned guy who beat up Rihanna. For those of you who don't know, no matter what you think about Chris, Chris still makes hits, and Chris is richer than your ass. He owns like 13 hamburger joints.
Right? I didn't know,
He is a,
I
he
didn't know
actually
that. I didn't know that.
Yeah, he owns all this other shit. Like I found out, like damn, he don't need to sing no more. Let's put it that way. He's good at making hits, and there's a song that I like called "Strip." Now, if you listen to the title, you could probably guess what this song is about. But in the song, Chris gives a particular call to action. His call to action in his song is "I want to see you strip." Basically, he's looking for sex tonight. I just want to see you strip. He makes you feel good when he gets you to call to action because he's talking to women, right? And women, when they go in the club, they're very self-conscious of with the hair and how they're dressed. He's like, baby, I don't care about your hair. Don't worry about the tracks. I don't give a damn about that. You're already beautiful. I just want to get you out them clothes. I said, let's go out on the dance floor. This is my favorite song. You know, he gives you the call to action and he makes you feel good. He takes care of all the doubts. Like, hey, what would make you not want to get on the floor and dance with a guy like Chris Brown who could dance his ass off? Well, maybe I don't dance well. Maybe I don't want to mess up my hair. Maybe I want to mess up my clothes. He said, baby, don't even worry about that. I got you.
He's overcome the objections. He's speaking directly to the market. All those type, and it provides a strong call to action.
Yeah, his song actually is it's a perfect song to learn marketing from, actually.
Right.
In terms of a sales letter. That's basically what he did. He did a sales letter in the guy's song.
That's true.
So for those of you who want to check that out to listen to figure out what I'm referring to, but he gives you a straight call to action. You know what he's there for. There's no doubt what the hell.
Yeah, there's no ambiguity. Yeah.
No, so that's what folks need to do when you at the end of your story or towards the end, you need to give a call to action. Like, what do you want this person to do? Is it clicking on a link? Is it going checking them out on a website? Is it pulling out their credit card and buying this thing? What the hell do you want folks to do? And a lot of times people forget that step in the storytelling process.
Right, or afraid to put it in there.
Yeah, well, this ain't for the weak, the wimps, and the morally high.
That's right. You heard it here. Hey, that's the straight goods right there. You heard it here first.
It's not for them folks.
Now, you are freelance copywriting as of now, yes?
Yes, as I like to usually refer to it, I am more of a marketing business consultant who also copyrights.
Yes.
And there's a reason for that, because if you approach a business, they don't know what the fuck copywriting is.
That is true.
Explaining it. So
yeah, absolutely. And you're currently taking on clients.
Yes, I do take on clients for what I do. My specialty is I do work with a lot of financial advisors and wealth managers in New York City. That's one of my specialties because I actually do like finance, and those folks know nothing about marketing, so it's easier to say, "Hey, this is what you need to do," and they're like, "Yes." They don't know what the fuck I'm doing. But I like, that's my specialty. Like I know how to do those folks up real good. Nothing bad. Don't be like I'm cheating nobody. I ain't cheating nobody. These are the people who you were rallying against fucking Wall Street. These are the folks I help. But those are one of my specialties. But another thing to do is I also teach people. I take on private clients in terms of folks who have businesses. So you don't necessarily want me to do your copy, but you want my business and marketing expertise. So I teach. Like I have a few clients now. I'm teaching them how to actually find their core story for their business, for their brand that they're building. So I do stuff like that, and I teach folks how to actually do that.
Cool. So if people want to reach you, get a hold of you, Lauren, where should they go? How should they contact you?
All right, so I'm relatively easy to find. You can email me at lauren@storybrandstrategist.com. That links right into my email, so I will get you on my Gmail. For those of you who want to, some reason want to speak to me about all kinds of good marketing or starting my business without failing on my face and being embarrassed for the rest of my life kind of stuff.
Right.
Because there's a lot of those out there. I
Yeah.
can help you through that. That's one of the easiest way to find me. I'm also, I think I'm on, yeah, I am on Snapchat. I don't remember my damn handle.
Right.
Strategist, that is my handle. If you
Okay.
want to find me there. But I say email me because I'm usually very good at getting back to the people relatively quickly with email. And for you guys today, I also put a little something special, and I don't
Nice.
always do this, so y'all better be grateful. Um,
So listen up, people.
yeah, listen up, folks. So a while back ago, I had a group of folks I was coaching in the basics of marketing. So these folks had businesses and they didn't know much about marketing. So I touched upon um, the 5 key points of picking a profitable niche. I talked about storytelling. I talked about a little bit of business operations in terms of customer service, sort of thing in this course. So I'm going to give you guys access to the first video, which is we talked about a little bit about marketing research. Well, this is a more in-depth mini lesson about actual things that you should keep in mind, where either you can use it to help you write copy, you can use it to help you narrow down to create a product or find your audience as well. Um, Especially for you guys. And I have a link to a sign up, which will get you that video download. Plus, will put you on my email list where I give people access to something I call storyboarding entrepreneurs.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm sure our audience will appreciate that.
No problem. Well, at least if you can just get the research part right, we can do the story. I can get you. Research to me is 0.0. Everyone's at 0. If I can get you to step 1, we're good. I can get you to step 10.
Right. Right. Exactly. Well, I really want to thank you for coming on the show. You've been a very entertaining guest. I think people will agree. You've given a lot of knowledge. You've told us a lot about, basically your stories told, the story of marketing, and of course your copywriting career, and sort of what it's all about. If people listen back to this, I think they'll see the way you've used your own life stories to sort of illustrate some important marketing and sales points, which may gloss over because they're listening to the story. They may not picked up on all that. But yeah, we really want to thank you for coming on. You've delivered a whole huge chunk of value, and hopefully people will take a look at that video and see what's up.
I hope so. It's all about getting them started right and getting them do it right. Because other than that, if I see you on Facebook doing something stupid, I'm probably going to put some third-party comment. I had one over the weekend called "Assume the Beef."
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there's a whole. I actually did some videos on that, and so I am on Facebook. So I'm on this Facebook Live thing. So when people do stupid stuff for a long period of time, I just commented on my Facebook Live feed now.
There you go. So check some of our videos out, Lauren Hazel on Facebook. Thanks again, Lauren, for coming on. It's been a real pleasure. For people who listen to the show regularly, of course, we know that we'd also like to thank Ben Sound at bensound.com for the intro and outro music. Free, royalty-free music. Go check out his website. He's got some real badass stuff on there. And for everyone else, we'll be back again next Tuesday with yet another exciting guest, hopefully as entertaining as Lauren. Have a good one.
I'll try. You guys too. Keep it going. Keep it hustling. This is Lauren from the Bronx, New York. Peace out.